Jam with the batch of 1997.
Our batch of 97 was the first batch that ever completed the entire run. We were the first batch of girls to do 4th to the 12th. Hi, this is Hema. I am from the batch of 97, roll number 57 from Sam House.
Hi, this is Meghna, batch of 1997, Padmini House 266.
Hi, this is Dhanjeet Sodhi, Mehra House, roll number 290. And that number has really stuck with me.
Hi, this is Reshma. I was in Karuna House, roll number 568. I apologize. There's a dog with a squeaky ball in the background, so I apologize for any squeaky sounds.
It's been 25 years. I can't believe it.
I know, gosh.
I can't believe it. I'm usually not short of words, but I'm just hearing your voices and I'm trying to relate back to all the photos SL artists took. Remember prize giving, Hema holding the flag here, Reshma holding the flag there. Like literally those snippets are coming in my mind, and till now, like there was no memory of it.
Yes.
But it's just so nice to hear all of you.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be in touch.
Yeah.
And this is, I suppose this is a great platform to be.
Are any of you going for the reunion in India?
Well, I live in Goa, so I will drop in and see the girls here. So yeah, for sure. At least one evening of reunion for me.
That's amazing, Hema.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I haven't actually been back to school since we left. Every prize giving, there's usually something work related in October or November. So I live in Dubai. I have been there ever since after I finished college. So when I was in school, my parents lived in Dubai, and after school I went to college in the US and did my master's in London, and then I moved back to Dubai to be with my parents for a while. And then I just got really comfortable because it's an easy place to get comfortable in. And I just stayed. And I work in a place called Al-Sakal Avenue, which is a cultural district. And we have a lot of contemporary art galleries. And we usually have free arts programming throughout the year. So that's me. What about you, Dhanjeet?
So I finished school and then did my bachelor's from IP College in Delhi. After that, I did a course in Microsoft Certified Systems Engineering. And then right after that, I got married. I came to Chicago. I was in Chicago for 9 years. Then I was in New Jersey, New York area for about 10 years. And last 3 years, I've been in Orlando because I have two boys, 17 and 18. They both were pursuing golf, and we decided to move to a warmer place. And I think this is what I call home, but I've just really realized in my mind that I think I'm a gypsy by nature. I could go anywhere and feel at home. I don't know if Mayo has anything to do with it. Like you leave home one time, it hurts, the first cut is the deepest. And left home at 10. And since then, I just feel my home is in people, in places and experiences. And I work currently in IT for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So BWC is my workplace, and we've gone all remote. So it's a really good work-life balance, as I can say. So that's me in a nutshell.
Meghna?
Yeah, I am actually originally from Udaipur, so it was really easy for me. My parents were in Udaipur. Mayo was only 4 hours away by car, but I never went back. I went back only for the first prize giving. That was in 1998. And after that, I have never gone back. The main reason has been it's just too emotional. It's just too nostalgic. And I don't want to deal with that much of emotion all at once. So what I have been doing is wherever I have traveled for my bachelor's and my master's, and now finally settling in the US, I have made it a point to reach out to a Mayoite who is in that city city at that point in my life, and then create a bond or a network. And that's all, like a slice of the Mayo emotion is all that my heart can take. It's that emotional for me. That's what I have felt. And I'm currently in Los Angeles. I call this my home, and I work as a professor. I teach accounting, and that largely comes from Ma'am Sundarajan and her love, her love for her love for mathematics and her love for me. So I combined both. And I teach at a university, which, believe me, feel like I'm back on a boarding school campus. Not necessarily Mayo, but it feels like a boarding school campus because it's on a high altitude. When it's cooler weather, everybody's wearing scarves and jackets and, high socks. It feels like Mayo. And being a professor, a mentor, or a teacher keeps me going. I love what I do. I'm surrounded by 17-year-olds, and I was a 17-year-old when we left Mayo in 1997. And time has flown like anything, but through all the ups and downs of my life, I remember one thing clearly, especially when life got really, really difficult. In the darkest moments, I reached out to a Mayo friend. And whether or not we were close in school didn't matter. Just the fact that I was going through a hard time, I reached out to a friend and said, hey, I'm in your city. I'm struggling with XYZ. Can you help me? And without a blink, that person showed up and helped me at various different stages in my life. And I have so much to say, but more than saying, I feel it. It's an emotion. And I'll pass it on to Hema.
Hi. Meghna, that was lovely to hear, and lovely to hear all of you actually. I'm in India and have stayed very much in India. But 2 years ago, we moved to Goa. So yes, happy to have the girls coming in later in the month. I've been working in an experiential marketing business for over 20 years now. So I lead the creative practice where I live brands and strategy and ideas and graphics and design. So I absolutely love my job. And it's exciting in a lot of ways because I work with different people and communities, and from government to schools to everybody. So it's been a great journey. And Goa has been a whole new world as well, working from home. And I think COVID really helped us easily segue into that sort of life as well. And so I'm glad we're all together on this call. And I think we're going to have some great moments that we're all going to relive.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, hearing you guys, it's just bringing so many emotions to life. And Meghna, I never thought about it like that, but
Yeah.
I do think going back, it's the nostalgia, it's all those emotions coming back. Maybe that's something I need to face and go back. And I did go for the first one. I think we met. We might even have a photo together. I'll have to dig it up. But I went back the first prize giving, and then after that, I think life just kept happening. And the fact that you're not in the country, it just makes it very hard in having children and their school schedules and all of that, and work gets in the way. But yeah, it's amazing to kind of hear your point of view, and it just kind of brought so many other things to my mind that maybe those are the things that happened to me. Reaching out, finding someone here has always filled that void, and that takes it away from going back actually.
But I remember vaguely me walking around in GK Market like maybe 20 years ago, and peeche se someone screaming, "Hey Madi!" And I'm like, oh no, like who and why and what and why am I being screamed at as Hema Di like 20 years later? Like
The only Mayo get together that I've ever been to in Dubai was like Amita convinced me that we should go, right? So this was a mayor get together with, and most of the girls are actually much younger, so they don't, like, I don't even know them. Like, we weren't even there when they started, so like there's no overlap or anything. And I was sitting next to, so we went to this place, and I was sitting next to this girl who was talking about this, how she was like traumatized in school by this one prefect who would constantly tell her to pull up her socks and, like lift her feet while walking. And she was like, and literally, like, she was very, very, like, she made it sound like this girl who had, like, really traumatized her through her entire holding house years. And I didn't know what to do, because I was laughing hysterically because it was me. Only she did not realize that she was talking about me. And so Amita was in splits. I was sitting next to this girl. I'm in splits. And then Amita says, and she looks at Amita and goes, Amita Di, why are you laughing? And she's like, because she's sitting right next to you. And she couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe it. And for some reason, I feel like that has not left me.
Yeah.
That has still not left
Correct.
me. I'm clearly still that person.
I guess it's recap time, right?
Certainly going to talk about our mass batch punishments for sure, I think. We all, yeah.
We did?
I think we were probably
What mass?
probably the pioneers of it.
But what were we made to do? But I genuinely don't remember this
Are
at
you
all.
serious? I'm going to tell you girls, man. I remember.
Like a mass batch punishment. Okay.
So I think probably we were the batch that started this whole batch punishment thing, because I don't think before us any batch had ever gotten this punishment. And this was possibly the year either 96 or 97, because we were all in our respective science and arts and commerce classes, right? So us being the artsies as we were of course the naughtiest lot of our entire batch. So prep time in the evening was always like chaos, right? Kabhi kuch ho raha hota tha. Asavri would be doing something insanely, like maybe changing into her uniform from games kit to whatever formal kit, or the other way around, right? So our class was notorious with all, from Nikita to everybody, sare badmash arts mein hi pade hue the. So one evening what happened was the bijli went off. Puri school ki light chali gayi. Now, of course, that is most exciting, right? So we used to have this music teacher, I think his name was Mr. Buddhilal, who was the harmonium teacher. Yeah. And there was the tabla teacher who we, of course, in our way called Tabalchi. Mujhe aaj tak, I don't think I know his real name. So he was always Tabalchi for us. And they used to be once in a while, of course, they were the invigilators. So Batti Gai, Tabalchi ji was in our class. And literally, and I'm not kidding you, maybe 3 minutes later, Batti came on, and Tabalchi sir's entire kurta had ink splotches. Do you remember we used to have those ink pots where we had to fill our... Yeah, we had to fill our fountain pens in those ink pots, right? So I literally, in that 3 minutes, the lights have come on and he's looked at himself and he has these big blotches of ink all over him. And there the hell broke loose, right? Of course, he was pissed off as hell. We ourselves, I don't remember actually ab kisne kiya tha. I can take the names, but I think let the girls come back, huh? So hell broke loose. And next morning, Mrs. Singh was actually, or even within the evening, I think she was summoned she was never there for prep duty. So she used to walk from her house, and she was summoned from her house, and this whole fiasco took place. She was raging, right? And then she says, tomorrow morning, I want to know who has done this. So Dhanjeet, being the head girl, was given the task of investigating, since Dhanjeet was in commerce, right? So she was not a part of this. So वो आ गई और पूछा, and clearly we must have told her, whoever it was, but we said we are not going to make this one person a scapegoat, क्योंकि if that one person gets it, तो forget bad marks and black marks, यहाँ पे suspension and serious stuff is going to happen. So I think cumulatively all of us unanimously decided we will take, all of us will say we were all involved. So next morning at assembly, Jam Singh called all of us up on stage, and hum bilkul like red-faced monkeys. We were standing in the entire assembly, 800 girls and 35 of us were standing on stage and saying, this is completely unacceptable, and da 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 da. Full rant happened, right? But we were very proud because आज तक किसी को नहीं पता कि किसने actually किया है. So I think that's where I think that's where the whole unity situation came in. And luckily for Asawari Kapoor, she was not in school that particular evening. If it had been her, I mean, there would have, even if she hadn't done it also, na, everyone would have said, Yasu ne kiya hai. So wo bach gayi that she wasn't even in school. So I think that was probably the first time the entire batch was I mean, not batch, but the section was summoned up on stage and really given the shit for doing this naughty ink sploshing
It's
thing.
possible that our batch was the first batch to get this kind of thing. That I will not dispute, because we were very poorly behaved.
Public shaming amongst in front of 800 girls on the stage, not to sing and not to do choir and not to be whatever applauded, but really be like, this is a bad example. I think at that point that was enough trauma for everybody. Of course, in the back seat there must have been giggles and whatever about it, but yeah, I don't remember. I don't think we got a
I have no recollection of this at all. I mean, this must have been the only time that I was ever sick and in the infirmary. My whole, like, I went through 5.5 years of Mayo without having ever gone to the infirmary. And I said to myself, I was like, oh, I would tell people, oh, I've never been to the infirmary, never been sick. And then next thing I knew, I had malaria and I was out for 10 days. So the only thing I can imagine is that this would have happened then, because I can't imagine not remembering it.
When I look back, when you're in that situation, I think there are many that you can say I should have done this differently or felt differently, or that time it didn't seem like the best choice, or we felt we were being pushed into something. And you know how you're young, you're thinking so differently. And
Exactly.
later when you reflect, some of those situations where you didn't get your way actually frame you as a person, or guide your journey, and it stays with you. So with all the good and bad and everything else in the mix, if somebody can take their experience and leverage it in life, I think they will gain from it. And it's all in your attitude. If you've got the right attitude, I think any situation, whether it's Mayo outside, it'll frame you. But I would say I had the best years there. It was really fantastic, great friendships, challenges. I learned so many new skills. I may have flunked SUPW embroidery and knitting and all of that, but at least I got to do it, right? And then you understand who you are. I think when I host, I do a very good job, and I think of Ma'am Kavita and everybody and Ma'am Bhargav, I believe, in home science, which I detested. I had to always run from basketball practice or some sports practice to do the home science and the ikubanas and all the flower arrangements and how you lay the table. But trust me, in my day to day, all those skills come in so handy. In addition to all the education I got, that I think I'm constantly hungry to learn more, because I felt it was never enough. I was always learning something new. So I'm very grateful, and to all the teachers, to Ma'am Singh, and everybody else in the mix. And of course, you girls have always been part of such a great memory, being prefects and school captain together. Like we would always have to discuss so many other things, but
Meg?
I think the whole thing about Mayo has been just don't give up. It's been whatever life throws at you, I have found my way. I found my way out, because having lived and survived such a difficult Mayo 7-year experience, it taught me that right alliances, which are my friends from Mayo, even till date.
Yeah.
I build the strong alliances. If I continue to just move forward, I've already won 90% of the battle just by moving forward, because many people are going to give up. As soon as people face a challenge, they're going to give up. So you really don't have much to do. Just take that one step. That's it. And take your friendships and take that one step, and you're already a winner,
I
according
agree.
to me.
Yeah. So I think for me, honestly, it's quite fresh, and yet I miss bits and parts of it. But I don't think, it was possibly the best growing up years in life anyone could ask for, right? From swimming to horse riding to making rangolis to ikebana, like you said, and of course all the crazy, crazy fun midnight feasts and waxing in the middle of the night by tearing your own shirts, uniform shirts, because you had a state championship to go to the next day, and doing it with cold wax. There's really a million memories that one can go on about.
I want you to tell me one full detail thing of what that waxing story
Oh
was.
God. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Sam House was the king of swimming house, right? We won, I think at least till I was there, we had never lost a swimming trophy ever. It was our pride and joy, right? So a whole bunch of us were like Amita, me, Mandira, even I think Dhingra's sister. We were a swimming clan, right?
Yeah.
So all of us used to go for district, state level championships, and we were that time only the ones that could see boys in Mayo and all, na? Kyunki kabhi kabhi there used to be the joint teams and all that. So we were the least boy deprived people. Anyway, so since we were in school, uh, puberty hit, eyebrows were all over the place, you were hairy buffoons everywhere, right? You cannot possibly go out in your costume looking like an Amazon suit, right? So there had to be some way we had to do our waxing.
Yeah.
Razors were non-existent. We never ever even contemplated buying them. So there used to be this Ayur ki waxing ki bottle aati thi with thanda wax.
Yeah.
Shruti, I'm not kidding. This is thanda wax, right? We weren't allowed any heaters. We were not allowed any of those hot plates back then. I don't know if they are now allowed. But we used to have one mombatti which we used to steal from our baijis, because they used to keep the stack of mombattis when the electricity would go off, right? So we used to steal the mombatti, and we used to take a knife or a whatever chammach, tear the white ऊपर का जो हमारा white shirts होती थी, which we used to wear with the skirts, we take the old white shirts. After lights out at about 11:30, we would go into the tiniest dressing room possible. Rashika was my waxing queen, and we would sit there till tearing strips, and with that cold wax which we heated with a chammach on one little flickering flame of candle, we would use that wax to do our legs, arms, armpits, everything, and it would be the most painful process of taking off your hair. And now it's like, dude, how did we even go through that pain? Like, you go for now these fancy salons with all the waxing, and there were ek mombatti and cold wax and khichoing your skin with that. So that's how we used to do waxing back then. But really, I think it was about our teachers and our friends, and certainly life-changing and lifelong in both ways. So yes, truly, truly grateful for the love and the friendship and the growing up in Mayo. We were truly privileged, I think.
I agree. That was a great privilege, and the times we were growing up in, the Mandal Commission had happened. We had to go home,
I
come back,
know.
and
I remember that.
everything. I think they were
Yeah.
always ready to look out for us, help us, all of that. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Midterm trips, midterm trips. I mean, who does that anymore? I mean, it's incredible at that time to go. Yeah, like, yeah, I
Who
think.
takes 100 girls to Manali? Imagine. I met
Nepal.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I met ma'am Wanchu after 25 years in
Oh, you
LA.
Oh my
did?
God.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And I met her and her entire family, both her daughters. And I said, ma'am, the only thing I remember is the canteen, of course, you being there in the canteen. And ma'am, how did you manage 100 girls in Kulu
Oh my
Manali?
God.
How did you do it?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
And everybody's got a mind of their own.
yeah.
And some are rebels. They're trying to run in every direction and not really thinking of their safety and all of that, which I definitely think for my children. And I think, so it's a perspective. When you're in it, you're a certain age, you don't think like that. When you get out, you understand why they were thinking what they were thinking. But
Yeah.
yeah, hands down, I think we are who we are because we were in Mayo.
But I know when I went back the year later, your auditorium was in full swing, and the school, there was another additional house that had come up and stuff that I still don't know what the infrastructure development has actually happened. I mean, I remember, or maybe it was several years later, I went back and I saw there was a band of girls doing full metal and electric like performances, and we used to be singing Lean on Me and Padani, Simon and Garfunkel, and here was this full metal rock band of girls performing in May. I was like, wow, times have truly changed from when we were like back then. And then we used to have these amazing midnight parties, which were disgusting now that I think of it, which was Thanda Maggie. I don't know if you ever had it back in school, but it was literally cold water
Yes.
Maggie,
Crunchy
and
Thanda Maggi.
yeah, and drinking chocolate fudge or Bonvita fudge, and the biscuits that we would get from PT, which we would have kept. And that was the whatever the drinking chocolate biscuit, and this was our feast we would have at midnights. So of course we got caught many times doing that as well, but yeah.
Like the time that there was Miss Das, the psychology teacher.
Yeah,
She was the holding house. She was very short. She
yeah.
had glasses. I could picture her perfectly. Like in my head, I can picture her perfectly. And so one day, and she was petrified of mice and rats, petrified. And one day we were in class, and suddenly somehow Asavri said there was a rat, and she said, "Rat!" And we all sort of fell in, as like herd mentality. All of us sort of went, "Oh my God, rat!" All of us screamed, and the poor woman was absolutely like, she must have she was looked like she was going to have a heart attack. She used to wear these heels without any back on them. She fell over because, I mean, I guess she must have been shaky on her feet. They were really high. She fell over, then she got up, jumped onto the chair, the teacher's chair. She wouldn't open her eyes for the longest time, and everyone in class was in splits. And she was really, really upset. Like, she was very, very upset. And we were all all of us, I remember that day, we were all made to stand outside the class, the entire class.
But was there actually a rat, or was that just made up?
There was no rat. There was no rat. So I remember we were really nasty, and we were very, very nasty to her because we really used to take the piss. Like, it wasn't fair. It was really unfair. And she was so, she would just, she was so easy to wind up that we would just, take advantage of that all the time. Yeah, Savri was a central feature of all our lives. Can I just tell you? Because she would not change. Like, somehow she would always miss that, the shower time between between like games and prep. So between games and prep, somehow Asavri would be doing God knows what, and then the bell would ring, everyone would have to be in class, and Asavri would show up like in her games kit, in her PE kit. And obviously like there would be times when there would the teachers would do rounds, and sometimes actually Ma'am Singh would do rounds every now and again. It was very random, but she would do rounds every now and again. And that I remember this day so particularly because Ma'am Singh was doing rounds and Asavri was still in her PE kit and she needed to change. She saw Ma'am Singh go past, and this is must have been in 12th for sure. I'm pretty sure we were in 12th by then. 11th or 12th. Anyway, she walked past. We saw her walk past the windows into the commerce section, and Asavri suddenly disappeared. So she was under her desk changing. So she'd taken her clothes off and she was putting her regular uniform back on. And as she was doing this, Ma'am Singh walked in and she said, who's missing? And so, of course, Asavri is now under her desk. She can't see her. Ma'am Singh can't see her because, she's someone sitting in front of her, so she couldn't see her. And Asavri is literally, like, you could tell that she was literally, like, having kittens underneath that desk. But she was half dressed, so how she was going to come out of there, God only knows. And so all of us were like, And then, like, looking like, like, what do you mean? Who's missing? Like, no one's missing. And suddenly someone said, she's like, who sits next to you? So she asked the girl who was sitting next to Asavri. And she's like, I'm Asavri. So she walked over to the table, and I still remember her standing there. Asavri's still under the table. And then suddenly she looks up and she sees her. She sees Ma'am Singh looking down at her, and she goes, and then you could see her coming out from under the table with her shirt like buttoned all wrong and going, hi, ma'am. And then that was priceless because she got such a bollocking after that. Such a bollocking. It was really funny. It was like we would do this kind of, but without Asavri, I feel like our lives would have been, I would definitely have missed out.
Yeah. So actually, we used to have also, I think it was Thursday evening where we used to get a Conti meal, possibly. The best thing was the Nimbu Pani, actually. So that Conti meal, we used to get a bit of the liver, we used to get a cutlet, we used to get Nimbu Pani. So yeah, I think between that and the Sunday morning Maggie breakfast were my favorite meals. And there was this delicious chocolate ice cream that Ma'am Vijay used to get made. I don't know when we used to get it, but it was just that one time we used to get it in the week.
I feel like clearly food is very central to my life because I have lots of food memories. I have memories of, you remember Ma'am Chilani used to make, she used to make Sindhi curry. I don't know if she made it for everyone or not, but certainly for Sonal, Pavni, Kukreti, myself. Yeah, there were a few people that she used to make the Sindhi curry for, and we used to love it. It was amazing. Like, she would sneak us into her room. We would eat the Sindhi curry and then we would eat. It was really, that was the highlight. The other was the Baiji who used to make the stuffed chilies and paratha. So she would bring me those from home. And you know where they kept all the cleaning materials under the stairs? That's where I would sit and eat the stuffed chilies and paratha. It was so good, like absolutely divine. And to this day, I cannot eat aloo gobi anywhere else. I think of Mayo because the aloo gobi there was really good. Before I came to Mayo, I didn't used to eat. I hated eating. It was like, like so unnecessary. It was just one of those things that I had to do to somehow survive. But I really didn't enjoy it. And 1 year into Mayo, and I discovered all of this amazing. I discovered food, and it turned me into a foodie completely through and through. And all of my memories, like I still remember walking around the mess hall collecting gulab jamuns because everyone would be dieting. So I would, on Wednesdays, because Wednesdays after Rajma and Bhindi, I would pick up people's desserts. So I would have 7 gulab jamuns every Wednesday. laughing. And somehow we had to dodge. I would have to dodge my Divija because she used to walk around like an eagle eyes from across the mess hall. I'd be running from one point to the other, collecting gulab jamuns. But yeah, it was yeah, I have so my memories are mostly around things like that and basketball and running track and
yeah. So, well, I think we participated in every single PG. Whether it was, I did a lot of the folk dances that Ma'am Biswas used to make us do. And Ma'am Law used, I don't know if you guys remember, but we did My Fair Lady, we did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, etc. So I was in the choir for several of those entire PG performances. And I think last PG, I finally managed to get one dance prize as well from Ma'am Biswas.
I think when I look back, and at the time, I think I wasn't particularly happy that I was there in my first semester or the first term. But then I made friends and I sort of settled into it. And it was just, that was my life, right? That's where my whole life revolved around Mayo and my friends there and everything that was going on there. Yeah. When it was time to leave, by the time that I was done with sort of 12th standard and it was time to leave, I was so done with it. I was so done with everyone, knowing every single thing about me and my life that I really wanted to get as far away from it as possible. And so for the longest time, I actively did not go back, even when I had the option to go back. When I feel like when I left, I felt like, like I was so wide-eyed and this outside world was so kind of like, oh my God, it seemed so overwhelming, like there was like I was seeing all of these colors and sounds and boys and like all of the temptations that come with life outside of that, like a very closely monitored life outside of within four walls. You go outside of that for the first time and it's literally like everything is culture shock, everything. And I think what I didn't realize then, and slowly it's like now as I've gotten older and I look back and I try to sort of figure out where I got a certain skill set from. I think I realize what impact Mayo actually had on me. And I think for the people that are graduating now, what they don't understand is that there is a resilience that life in Mayo teaches you, or that that it builds in you. And that resilience, I think, is not something you can teach. It's just something that grows, it's like it's something that's inculcated. So it's a nurture thing. So it's nurtured over a period of time. And it's just that ability to get back on the horse every time you fall off. What I would say to almost everyone that is graduating and going out into the real world is that you will fall off the horse many times. But I think they should not underestimate that resilience. That now it's sort of ingrained in them, whether they realize it or not. They don't, there is an underlying confidence that they probably don't even realize that they have.
But I do think a lot of us have a little bit of a chip on our shoulders, being Mayo and being this elite school.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere we maybe advertently or inadvertently so exclude certain types of people in our life because maybe they don't belong in that world of elite educated people. So I'd say that I think we should honestly stay humble and really keep our hearts open, because there are such incredibly beautiful people that are so not like us, who've grown up in boarding schools or have been so independent, but are so incredible that if we do close ourselves in, we'll actually be losing a lot out. So yeah, I think humility to me trumps everything else. I think we get the education, we get the extracurricular. And I must say this, I think Mrs. Jamila Singh and the entire fraternity back then always kept us grounded, right? It was never, it was so equal, egalitarian as a school. I mean, I remember we had the Princess of Nepal there. We had so many of the royal family girls and such celebrity kids and stuff like that. But never ever was there any point of they are superior, better, lesser, whatever, right? We were always equal. So I think that's probably something that I think every one of us should remember, that Mayo was really a truly egalitarian school. And I hope it stayed that way after Ma'am Singh as well. But yeah, that's, I think, what I'd like to tell the girls.
Go
Absolutely.
Mayo, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Okay.
All right, girls. I think it's a good wrap. And yeah, thanks.
This has been the most fabulous idea, really. So I think the Mayo Girls alumni and Shruti and all of you, this is such a fantastic initiative. Thank you so much. It's been super fun, and go Mayo!
Go Mayo!
That's
Take
pretty
care,
awesome.
and we'll be in touch. Yeah.
The Mayo Jam with the batch of 1997. This podcast is brought to you by Mayo Girls Alumni Association. If you're a Mayoite and wish to participate, email us on mayocollegegirlsalumni@gmail.com.